Over the last couple weeks I've been noticing a whine with my Durango motor with increasing RPMs, and I'm going to investigate what the problem is. Let's start it up and see if we can hear it. So it's not very obvious at low RPM, but hopefully on the camera you can hear it when I rev it up to about above 2,000, especially 3,000 RPMs. Hear that whine? Kind of a medium to higher pitched whine. Definitely increases with increasing RPMs. I'm pretty sure it's not the steering pump, because when you turn the wheel you don't hear anything odd. If it's a power steering pump, typically you're going to hear a whine when you're steering the wheel. So let's go around the front here. So we're going to be investigating most likely something on the serpentine belt, since it increases with increasing RPM. To get a better look at the serpentine belt, we're actually going to be taking a few pieces off of the motor here. We're going to be taking the air box off. The air filter's inside of here. This is kind of attached to the air box. We're going to be taking off this plenum. So we're going to unloosen this hose clamp, and these two bolts, and then everything should pop out of here. If you're working on this for a different vehicle, of course this is going to be a little bit different. You just have to be able to access the serpentine belt. Now we can better see the serpentine belt with the air box out of the way. You can see part of the serpentine belt is visible here. There's multiple pulleys. I will assemble a diagram into the video so you can see how these pulleys are laid out. But essentially, we're going to be releasing the tension on the belt, which is right here. This is the tensioner. And slipping the belt off, and then feeling each of these pulleys and even the alternator and other equipment to see if any of them have bearings that seem like they're gritty or squeaky or anything like that. Well, the easiest way to release the tension on the belt is actually just to take a 3/8" drive ratchet with nothing on the end, and there is a little groove machined into the tensioner, and if you just fit your ratchet in there, see if I can get a better angle here, fit your ratchet into that groove and just torque up, you'll see the tensioner releases, and if you release it enough you'll be able to slip the belt that way off of the tensioner, and then you should be able to get the belt completely off of everything. So now you see the belt is completely off the tensioner. We're just going to see if any of these wheels seem like they're the culprit. So that one feels pretty smooth. That is pulley 6. I have the alternator. That is pulley 8. That feels pretty smooth, and I actually just replaced that about a year ago, so I don't suspect that that's the problem. There's another pulley back here. That is pulley 9. That one seems pretty smooth. I know you won't be able to see it. Well, maybe you can if I get the camera down there. Okay, I think the camera is pointed to the next pulley, and so we're going to rotate this one. That is pulley 5. Get the belt off of it first. rotate this one. Oh yeah, listen to that. It rotates freely, but it's kind of noisy. A little loose. I'm not sure if I like the sound of that. That pulley that we just spun down below, it's a little bit noisy, is the same pulley as the one that's up here, identical rather. And if we try to spin this one, see that it spins freely, but it's not nearly as noisy. So I am going to replace the pulley on the lower side, I believe, and that should take care of it. I should point out too that I've already investigated this a little bit, and I actually took the entire serpentine belt off last night and started the vehicle up. You gotta get the belt clear off of all the pulleys. Start it up. Don't let it run for very long, but I started it up and just revved the engine up a little bit, and the noise wasn't there anymore. So I knew it was something on the serpentine belt. I just didn't know what yet. So I'm going to replace that pulley, and we'll put the belt back on and start it up and see if the noise goes away. Here's a shot of the pulley I purchased to replace the suspected broken one. This is a Gates part number 38058 pulley. It's just a pulley and sealed bearing. It does say in here that if there's a dust cover on the original equipment pulley, it doesn't need to be reinstalled with a dust cover. This is a sealed bearing. It doesn't need any maintenance. So we're going to install it. Alright, we're just going to take the pulley off. This is a 1/2 inch nut. So here's how it came off of here. I'm not sure if it meant that this is the dust cover. It probably is. I might still try to put it on the new one. There's also this plastic retaining washer on here. I think that just screws right off of the bolt. Yep. Hear that? That bearing feels like it's seen better days. It's a little bit gritty when you turn it. So here's the new one. It's brand new, so it's not going to turn as freely initially, but it's very smooth though. I don't think there's a direction on these. The back side does look a little different than this side. But otherwise I think they're symmetrical. I think I'm going to put it on this way. I'm just going to try to install it with the dust cover and everything. I just took the wire wheel to the dust cover, so it's a little shinier. So I'm going to reinstall it kind of the same way that I disassembled it. Okay. Yeah, actually now that I put that back together, I believe that plastic spacer in there is very important because it actually centers the bolt, kind of rides inside of the bearing. And if I spin it, that dust cover doesn't seem to be bothering anything, so I'm just going to leave it. Alright, let's put it back in. Okay, it's tightened up. Just make sure it spins freely before we start reassembling the serpentine belt. And yes, it does. Now all we have left is just to run the serpentine belt the correct path and replace it on the tensioner, and we should be good. And now we'll put the belt back on the tensioner. Okay, I got it back on the pulleys, and you want to take a close look, make sure it's on every pulley correctly. As I follow it around, and look what I've got here. It's not on this pulley correctly. If I would have started it up, it certainly might have shredded the belt and caused some problems. So I'm going to take the tensioner back off, put it on the pulleys correctly, and then we're going to do another look and make sure that the belt is on the pulleys correctly. We're going to take another look. It looks good down there. Looks good down there. Going around to the other side, make sure nothing came loose over here. Looks good. Now I'm going to put the airbox back on and start it up and see if we got it fixed. We got everything back together. Airbox is back in, plenum's back in, the vent tube is reinstalled. We already checked the serpentine belt and make sure that that is in place and routed correctly. Now all we have to do is start it up and see if we got it fixed. Let it idle for a second, make sure everything's okay, and then let's rev it up, and it's gone. I don't hear that whine. Let's rev it up, and it's gone. Hear that whine. Let's rev it up, and it's gone. I don't hear it anymore. So that idler wheel is definitely the source of that noise. And if you'd leave the idler wheel like that for too long, it probably had quite a bit life left in it, but if you left it for too long, those bearings could seize up and potentially destroy the belt, or certainly would have gotten a lot louder. So it was a $25 part, and it took me 15-20 minutes to do, so it's pretty easy fix. I might actually replace the other idler wheel as well. I mean, it wasn't noisy, but they only had one of these at the auto parts store, so I could only replace this one, but I might replace the other one here in the next few weeks just to make sure I get both of them done. So thanks for watching.